What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Coming at you live from Chambéry in Le Mugs Cafe. I have the honor and privilege of sitting next to one of my favorite clients, Alan Pruitt of Pruitt Prep CPA. And just to set the stage for today's conversation, Alan just celebrated his first 100K month. He started with us as a client about 3 years ago, and he was doing just north of $100,000 in a year. So that is absolutely fantastic growth. And Alan, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being one of our dream clients, and I'm super excited to speak with you.
Thank you. I'm super glad to be here. Excited to kind of share, a few things with you, share a little bit of my journey in my business and with dream firms in general.
Awesome, man. So let's go back to the beginning, because a lot of people hear that level of growth. And first of all, context, it has occurred in about a 3-year period, just to be fair.
Correct.
That's, again, incredible. And when you go back to that first decision to consider just growing your business, what really sparked the desire to grow it? Not even a decision to work with dream firms, but what made you say, hey, there might be more to this opportunity?
Yeah, sure thing. So, just to kind of take it back just a little bit, I'm somebody who, I started working in the industry, working for, other people. And so I got my CPA in, 2018. And then, I got a great controller job at the time. So, 6-figure controller job, which I was super excited about. And then right around the time COVID hit, I started getting a lot more, people reaching out for different, tax services questions. I'm somebody who I've done taxes really all my life. My dad ran his own tax firm. And so he actually showed both me and my sister how to, prepare taxes when I was in high school. And so I learned a lot of tricks of the trade then. And so I would say I kept, a handful of clients here and there, friends and family. But, upon getting my CPA, and then, I started getting more clients, after that. Naturally, people saw the recognition of, of the certification, which is what's awesome. And then around, 2020, I still had my controller job. However, I started getting more people reaching out. There's a lot of stuff then, questioned about, PPP loans, EIDL stuff, just all the kind of things that came with the pandemic. And that's when I first realized, right around then, I was like, there's something to this, kind of my own firm thing. And so that was around that time was the year where I'd almost, matched my salary as a controller running my own business. And so that's what kind of hit me. I was like, I think I can, kind of make this work and set this up the way I want to. And so once that happened, shortly after, I was like, okay, I think there could be something more to this, but I'm sure there's a lot that I don't know. And so, let me connect with, professionals and experts that do, because I think I have a good baseline, but I think there's more to be had.
Yeah, I mean, it's a story you hear quite frequently with people who just start out helping people, and they have what many consider to be a nice, high-paying job, and then all of a sudden they realize maybe the grass is greener on the other side, or at least the income opportunity could be better when I take the 40 odd some hours that I'm investing over here, net of any any commute time, which may have been the case for you back in the day. I know it's less common now. And you say, well, what if I maybe didn't commute and also took those 40 hours and applied it to the thing that's starting to eclipse my salary? Now, before we transition even to working with dream firms, when people hear 100K in a month, normally that comes along with monthly services, right?
Correct.
Monthly service packages, so you're getting paid each and every single month. And I find a lot of tax professionals or people who start in the tax field oftentimes struggle with going from once a year services to converting people to monthly services, or starting to build up a client base where they do have a consistent monthly income. So just talk a little bit about your mindset of, I'm not just a tax guy. I got more to offer, and even maybe some of the more tactical things that you were able to do to make that transition so successfully.
Yeah, sure thing. So, I'm somebody who has always been I guess a little bit of an overachiever. I'm super competitive. I grew up playing sports, grew up playing football, so I consider myself a competitive person. And so one of the things that, one of my early mindsets was, hey, I don't want to just be stuck in accounting. So perfect example, when I went and got my master's, a lot of people I knew went and got a master's in accounting, but I wanted to get an MBA because I wanted to learn more about business in general. So it kind of started there. And so then once my, tax side of my business started growing, once again, I'm thinking, I was like, what can I do? And so oftentimes in the tax world, hey, we're doing a tax return for a client, you're asking certain questions, but, we're working on a previous year, we're being very reactive. And
Mhm.
so it's like, I'm asking the client, hey, did this happen? Did that happen? Well, what if we got in front of this and start asking those questions on the front end so we can make sure that, hey, this thing becomes a deduction. They can write this off. And then just naturally, when you think about that from the business side of it, like, I could actually probably charge more because I'm delivering more, to these clients. And so that was kind of the initial mindset and, kind of why I looked for that additional help on, hey, how do I kind of build this, successfully? Where can I go? How can I set it up? And so that was one of the things that really prompted that, from of course, naturally a business standpoint where, hey, this is something we can charge more, but also more importantly to me is that you can deliver better service. You can help, small business owners who might not know about as much about business as I do to, apply these different things in their own businesses. And therefore you can create a better impact for them.
Fantastic answer. And I know you're competitive.
Absolutely.
Got a great football build to you. I mean, we're walking around the streets of France, and Alan is actively getting recruited for rugby teams out here, which always brings a smile to my
Yes.
face. And that competitive again mentality goes a really long way. And I'm going to of course share something with you related to your old football coach in a second
Yes.
here. But I think a lot of people see that potential
Hmm.
for that proactive
Hmm.
approach to be able to price accordingly for
Absolutely.
that proactive approach. But your football coach would have a lot to say or something very specific to say to those individuals who say,
Absolutely.
I've got all this potential.
Uh-huh. Yes. So yeah, one of the things I learned from an early age, this was my high school football coach. I'll never forget when I was a freshman coming in, and he just told us, we were prepping for, beginning of the season, getting ready to go, and he's like, hey, a lot of you guys have done well in, some of the preseason stuff. Season's about to start. And hey, we have a lot of potential in this room. But is can I say the
You may.
Okay,
You've
I
got
didn't
full
know if we need
permission
to
here.
censor.
No
We need to
censoring.
censor here. But yeah, so he basically told me, shout out to Coach Hammock who passed away recently. And so but one of the life lessons he taught me, he just said, hey, potential just means that you haven't done shit yet. And so that's something I've always lived by. That's exactly what it means. He put it in, so eloquent words, but it just means, hey, you can have all the potential in the world, but unless you're taking action on it, unless you're taking actionable steps to, take your natural or God-given abilities to the next level. And, I think even like in what we do, help, apply this to others, help others get there, taking that potential, making it work, putting in the action, putting in the work, it doesn't mean anything.
Football coaches have a way of getting through to, we'll just say, young men in unique ways. But that's a fantastic phrase and expression, one that's become one of
Hmm.
my favorite quotes since you shared it with me. Because I just find a lot of people like to talk about potential,
Hmm.
and I would much rather do the things that make potential
Absolutely.
worth something and help people to do
Hmm.
that as well. So hats off to your coach and also the application of that, not just through your fitness career,
Hmm.
athletic career, but also inside of your firm. Interesting fact that we picked up the other day that I
Hmm.
didn't actually know, but in the
Hmm.
last 30 years, there's only been 1 year in which the accounting service market shrank, and it was
Hmm.
only, I think, by 2%. And so we're a part of a growing market inside of
Hmm.
accounting, despite having a shrinking talent pool. And I love the idea that this proactive approach, where
Hmm.
we're not just sitting on our potential, but maximizing it, utilizing it, is contributing to that. But you've done it in such an accelerated way. And hats off to you. But I want to go back to what I consider to be a key decision that I see routinely in our clients, and
Mhm.
one I saw you make and really embrace. But talk about the importance of the dream client selection, and how that's helped you to have the proactive advice that you give, and
Mhm.
also being recognized as an expert,
Yeah,
something
sure.
that's contributed to your overall success.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that that I learned, specifically from you and with dream firms is that, I think it's very important to be proactive to help people, but then also if you want to take it to a next level and become an expert in your field, you really need to niche down and work with a specific group because it does a couple things. It helps you to, one, become an expert in that field. And then, hey, then people start coming to you once they know you're the expert. But then also from a business standpoint, what it allows you to do, a lot of these people kind of have the same similar problem. So you're not having to, spin your wheels, oh, maybe it's this or maybe it's that, or hey, this is an industry I've never worked with before. Let me figure this out. Let me figure that out. Well, no, not all problems are the same, but a lot of them are similar. And so then you're able to help apply what you know to a specific, industry and, really maximize that time, for them, help them become, better business owners, help them to, create their own dream businesses. And so yes, that's definitely one of the things that I've taken away and that, I truly love because I work with a great, population of clients. I work with mental health professionals. And so that has, and actually comes from a unique place for me because my wife, shout out Anika, she is a mental health professional, and so, and it's crazy because I, been working with her, some of her coworkers previously, but I will tell you before it would have seemed to have made sense then, but so I did this back, a few years before I started working with dream firms. I had these clients, but then going through the program, you preached, you talked about, hey, finding that industry, and I actually struggled with it at first, even though it seemingly was right there in front of my face. But then I really started thinking about it. I was like, wait, I already work with a lot of therapists. I have a wife that's a therapist, and I helped my wife set up her practice, and I knew the ins and outs of it. But I don't know, it's just one of those things where, just was a light that went off, and working with dream firms and listening to what you were saying about it, I was like, huh, lo and behold, here we go. Started working with therapists, and recently got trademarked the therapist CPA as well. So yeah, it's been a fun ride, and they're a great population to work with. And then once again, you look at things on multiple ends, and even on the business side, it's great because as we all know, over the last few years, since COVID, mental health has become a very popular topic. A lot of people are taking it a lot more seriously, and so there are a lot more people getting into the field, which, naturally, from a business standpoint, helps me out, but allows me to help, serve others and those who are getting into the field who don't know, that much about business. They're getting into it because this is what they love to do. But hey, when you do what you love and you create a business out of it, there's more complexities that come, and which is why, they come to an advisor or expert in the field. So it all kind of comes full circle.
Fantastic. And shout out to Mrs. Pruitt. Thank you very much for letting Alan come hang out in France for 5 days. Like,
Absolutely.
literally one of my favorite people on the planet. And yeah, I mean, I think it's such an interesting reflection that I see come up time and time again, and one that I've experienced. And quite frankly, I don't know a business owner who doesn't struggle with the idea of making the pie, quote unquote, smaller on
Yes.
purpose.
Yes.
It feels counterintuitive to what we should be doing, or what's a good
Hmm.
idea to be doing.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just, for context, I fought tooth and nail the idea that I should be niched into accounting for probably like 2 years, which sounds in hindsight absolutely ludicrous. And same thing, I looked
Yeah.
at my client list, and I was kind of had a mix, but my accounting
Hmm.
clients were better because I had all this experience with my accounting firm. And I had, my father, my grandfather ran accounting firms, and my wife wasn't an accountant, but I just was like, when you look back, it's like, how could this choice have been so difficult to make,
Hmm.
especially when you look at it, hindsight's 2020, you're looking at it on the other end, and it's like, my marketing got more efficient. I'm more respected by my clients. It's easier to make sales. It's easier to build a delivery team because the problems that we have to solve and deal with are relatively the same across the board. We
Absolutely.
can create a higher level of result for those clients. They get more buy-in from us. It has such a huge ramification across the business, and I always like hearing people's journey of self-discovery on that. So thank you for sharing that. I want to transition a little bit more towards the lead gen
Hmm.
side,
Sure.
because in order to get to, $100,000 month,
Hmm.
even over a 3-year period, which again is, you've done such, that's 10xing your business effectively
Hmm.
in a 3-year period. What allowed you to get in front of so many therapists to start to make the transition from generalists to specialists? Yeah, you've got to make the choice first, but
Hmm.
then when we actually start to need to walk the path, what were some of those tactical steps that really helped you do that?
Yeah, good question there. So I would say I think one of the things that I wanted to do is, one, just provide that overall, helpful advice that they have not, received before in, starting their own practices. So I think, that's a piece of it. And then also I think that, I have a little bit of a, different niche that, I haven't heard too many. There are definitely some out there, but there's not too many CPAs who specialize with therapists. So that's been very fortunate. But I really think it just comes from I think it comes what really helps is coming from a just genuine place of wanting to serve. Getting with potential clients. Hey, hey, we get on a call and just letting them know, I am here to help you, gain financial clarity, to help you, grow your business, to help you, not work as much. Especially in my field, it could be a field that they do, therapists do such great work in helping people get to where they want to go, but it can be a lot, and it's not, one of the highest paying fields out there. So it's super important for them to be efficient, and to not overwork themselves, because therapist burnout is very real. Burnout's real in a lot of industries, no doubt. But with some of the things that they have to hear. And so I think me coming from a genuine place of wanting to help them, I think that's one of the pieces. And then just getting different leads on the calendar from a lead gen perspective, which is what Dream Firms has tremendously helped with. And just like, wow, I look up and I've got all these therapist tees on my calendar from reaching out to people, them booking. And then it's just a matter of, like I say, coming with that genuine perspective of like, hey, I want to help you get to where you want to go,
Mm.
help you be more efficient, in your business, help you save money on taxes, all those different kind of things. And so yeah, that's been, kind of my journey with that. And I tell you, it's been a blast.
That's awesome. And I just, the authenticity that oozes through is so important to
Hmm.
any sort of effort to expand the circle of the people you want to help. People are exceptionally good at sniffing out ill
Hmm.
intentions,
Hmm.
and communication's so key to being able to do that effectively. And the prototypical caricature of an accountant is not typically someone who is capable of expressing how much they care. I
Hmm.
truly believe that they care a lot,
Hmm.
but the
Hmm.
expression of that and how you're able to do it, again, is a testament to you. And people are more willing to listen when they feel like you're actually speaking to them and you actually
Hmm.
understand their problems. And
Hmm.
one of the things that you've mentioned twice now is efficiencies.
Hmm. Hmm.
And in a field that they're trying to help as many people as possible, right? There's
Hmm.
more people who need the help than are
Absolutely.
available to provide the help. Being able to speak to, like, I know where you're at right now,
Hmm.
and I know where you're trying to go, and I know you don't want to sacrifice quality care.
Hmm.
I know you don't want to, just turn patients over. You want to really help.
Hmm.
I get it,
Yeah.
right? And I can help you find those efficiencies. So that's a powerful message to get out there. And just to keep the nuts and bolts simple here. Alan tells a good story. He tells it frequently. He produces original video content. He
Hmm.
connects with niche specific service providers, and he's not afraid to tap a couple people on the shoulder that are in his target market and say, "Hey,
Hmm.
this is who I am. Do you need some help?"
Yeah.
Fantastic. So pricing is something that comes up a lot.
Mm.
People struggle with it a lot. And I feel like you're one of the few clients that I feel like have very rarely indicated that pricing is a problem for you. Now that either means that you just came in and had a good understanding of, but let's talk just a tiny bit about your
Yeah,
pricing philosophy. Are
yeah.
you more of a menu pricer? Are you more of a value pricer? Are you more of a, let's analyze the complexity and give you a rate relative to
Mhm.
the cost? Just talk us through a little bit how you like to do that.
Yeah, sure. So, I've definitely needed some help with it. I've gotten great, advice here at Dream Firms from you and the team about pricing. And so, one of the things that we wanted to do is, make sure that we are, pricing appropriately and, having a premium price. Once again, we, I've learned just like we talked about, earlier on, choosing a niche, how it almost feels counterintuitive to kind of make that pie smaller. Well, if you're going to price at a premium, you're taking an already small pie and making it even small and cutting a slice out of a smaller pie. However, but I think the benefit of that is, once again, as we mentioned, you get to help people at a higher level. And so, make sure that, as a business owner, we can take care of our teams, but it also makes sure that, we can take care of our clients at an appropriate rate. And we want to make sure that we are somebody that, even though, might not be the cheapest price around, that we're delivering a high value.
Mm,
And so that's something we've always wanted to preach. So for us, how we approach pricing is, yeah, we price on, fixed rates, where we want to look at, everything a client has going on and be like, okay, hey, here's going to be your rate. And I think that that helps out for, a few different reasons. One is because, hey, if it's a fixed rate, then we get to know everything that's going on with that client. They're not, worried about another invoice coming. And so then we stop getting information when that happens, so on and so forth. But we still have, I guess, a little bit of a range. So we like to do some, course discovery on the front end. Hey, are you a, solo practice owner? Are you a small group? Or you're a large group practice? And then we typically have ranges, for each one of those. And then after that discovery, we kind of nail down, hey, where are they about within that in that range? But so we do, typically have three different packages, and then we'll, kind of fit the client within those packages and then give them their kind of fixed rate price from there.
fantastic. I love it. Uh, just transitioning a little bit here,
Hmm.
when people think about growing from 100K in a year to 100K in a month, yeah, there's the lead gen.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's the sales and pricing processes that have to
Hmm.
go into being able to do that efficiently. But I think most people think 10 times the number of problems to solve, 10 times the number of people theoretically to
Yeah.
manage. So you're a great person in the sense that like people like to follow you. You're a true dream firm leader, the moniker that we use for our clients here. So talk a little bit about leadership and team building to help manage this growth. Because I know people hear that and they're like, sounds great, but not so sure.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah. It is, it is definitely tough, but being a leader. But to me, it's also something that's very rewarding. The fact that that what I was able to build is now able to sustain. Give people jobs, give them purpose, give them meaning, and that's something that I always want to do. Always tell my team, and I tell my clients too, I want to be a servant leader.
Mm,
I want to lead, but I want to serve first, just like we serve our clients. I want to make sure that I'm serving my staff. So we often talk, I want to know, hey, what are your goals? What are your goals in this role? How can we make sure that those goals align with the overall company goals? So because I want them to come to a place where they truly enjoy working. Because as I mentioned, I've had a couple jobs before, and I've been very fortunate. I've had some really great bosses. I had some that haven't been so great. Thankfully, I've had more great than not great. But what I wanted to build and create is, hey, let me take all the best characteristics of the great bosses I've had. Let me avoid those characteristics of the bosses I haven't liked. And hey, what are some of the, best places that I enjoy working, and what does that entail? And so I've always wanted to embody that, within my own company, and then make sure that my staff and my team, feels heard, that I'm being, transparent with them, and making them feel like they are truly part of something special, because I think what we built thus far has been pretty special, and they are a big part of that, and I want them to know that and feel very appreciated.
It is definitely very, very special. And anyone who takes the, let's just call, take what is useful and leave what is not approach
Hmm.
to leadership and management, and can meaningfully
Hmm.
reflect on those experiences where, hey, I had a not so great boss, but he wasn't all terrible. I had a great boss too, but
Hmm.
there's a reason I'm not there anymore either, potentially, right?
Hmm.
And so there
Hmm.
are a lot of lessons that we can learn from, and anyone that's in, whether it's the big four, regional, even a smaller firm, just know that you're getting paid to learn how to basically be a better entrepreneur in the future. Should you ever
Hmm.
wish to do that, you just got to have that presence of mind to say, what do I like about where I am right now, and how can I replicate that environment in the future should I ever wish to? And also, what don't I really like about this? Maybe the boss is too detached, maybe too attached, maybe too emotional, maybe not emotional enough. So there are always these balances that we need to strike with our team, and the importance of building the right culture and knowing what you stand for, and being able to enforce that is, again, I consider that the key to getting to a place like this. Lead gen super important,
Hmm.
niche super important, sales process super important. But if you've got clients going in one door, going out the back, or you can't service the growth that you're experiencing because we don't have the right team, that's a recipe for disaster, and a
Hmm.
recipe for a quick burnout. I want to transition just to a little bit about the experience over the last couple of days here.
Oh.
We are currently on day 3
Hmm.
of our 5-day retreat for our annual mastermind clients. We do a day of consulting, or a day in the seminar room in mugs, right? We got on demand caffeine,
Yeah.
waffles is pretty sweet. And then we do a day out in the field of France, right?
Hmm.
Literally, like, we go out, we have fun, we explore what we've got to offer here. But I'd like you to just talk about a little bit of a takeaway
Hmm.
from what you've experienced inside of the seminar, but also a takeaway from what you've experienced in just the general atmosphere and ambiance of the French culture.
Absolutely. So no, so far, 3 days in, as you mentioned, it's been absolutely amazing. And, one of the reasons why, hey, I'm still here, keep coming back, because there's still always fresh takeaways that you learn, as a business owner. So I'd say for me, one of the great things that I've learned this week is to always think of your business as if you're an investor in it. Because I mean, you literally are, but oftentimes as business owners, we don't necessarily think that way about it. And so that's, one of the things that we discussed, I believe, on the first day here. And so, as you mentioned, you really have three options as a business owner when you think about the grand scheme of things and how your business is going to go. Are you going to, pass your business on to a successor? Are you going to set your business up for success and potentially sell it for a great multiple? Or are you going to, not to be morbid, but are you going to die at your desk, and then, within a week's time, everything that you've worked hard for, goes up in smoke, And so that is something that, definitely hit home as, as I was thinking about it. And so you have to, make sure to set your business up properly. Think, sometimes you have to, even though you're in it, is what you live and breathe, you kind of have to take a step out and really look from the outside in as if you are a true investor that's putting money into it, because you're putting, the most into it. Your blood, sweat, tears, sleepless nights, all of that time away from family, all those different things. And so you want to make sure that what you are building is being, set up for success for the long run, And so that is definitely one of the big takeaways I had. And then one of the other things I love is that we actually, in one of our field days, we went in this dark tunnel and did some graffiti, painted some graffiti, all
Legally,
legal. Oh,
legally.
yes, yes, absolutely, all legal graffiti. We weren't skirting the French police by any means, all legal.
Although that'd be
But
fun.
right, but so no, so that was definitely cool. is great too. And the reason why I love things like this is, to be able to, get away, being in a different place often gives you a different perspective, different experiences. And yes, I've taken away a lot of good things. I even got great takeaways today on how to, set up and structure my current team for success, for, success for me, for success for the business, success for them as my team. And so yeah, so definitely had, just 3 days in, I've had a lot of good, amazing takeaways.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate that. And anyone who wants to come do some graffiti in France, just like, we'd love to have you out here.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I always look at perspective as the greatest gift. And,
Mhm,
the
mhm,
perspective you get from an accounting advisor or a
mhm,
marketing advisor or an investor,
mhm,
those are all going to be different perspectives. And, the business owner, like you said,
mhm,
it's right in your face. And so
mhm,
oftentimes there's a lot of emotional decisions, sometimes some ego,
mhm.
and the investor, good, bad, or indifferent, they can usually do a pretty good job of subtracting those things from the equation,
Yep.
and they just say, well, what's actually best for the business?
Mhm,
And that can be a really hard thing to do. And similarly, when you talk about team building, when you're building and you're building and you're growing and you're growing, it's so important to pause,
mhm,
get a little bit of space and distance. Quite
mhm,
literally,
mhm,
you flew thousands of miles away
mhm,
from from your office to get some extra perspective and some distance. And then you get to look at all the pieces that you have assembled, and you can say, hey, these are some great pieces, but
mhm,
maybe they're not fitting together the way that we really wanted them to or expected them
mhm,
to, or these roles accidentally started to blend a little bit. And
mhm,
if I can just realign those expectations, we can go even further, faster, and be more efficient. And I just want to keep hammering home efficiency is one of the key value propositions of the accounting professional. And applying those efficiencies back into your own business is one of the best ways to convey to prospective clients that we are worth the price we charge. I run a really efficient firm.
mhm,
We're not gonna waste your time. We're not gonna
mhm,
waste your money, and you're not gonna waste any of the time or efficiencies inside of your business. And you're certainly not gonna pay the government a cent more than you are legally obligated to. And yeah, who doesn't love graffiti? Awesome. So I want to give you an opportunity to ask me a question or two if you'd like. So
Yeah,
if you'd like to think through some things, I always like to at least pass the proverbial football
yeah.
over to even a lineman
There
can
we
run the
go.
ball
There we
quite a
go.
bit, right? So last question that I
Sure.
have for you before we get ready to close things out. And of course, if you want to ask me a question, I always like to try and understand what someone's favorite business quote is.
Ooh.
Because I love to I think sometimes we have such amazing knowledge that's distilled into a really simple way, like your
Mhm,
football coach shared with us earlier, right? But what would you say is a very practical piece of business advice that you think
mhm,
about, that you lean into, that you just go like has meaningful application to your everyday practices in your business?
mm. Ooh, that's a good one. You know, one of the things, let me think about that
Yeah,
one.
take your time. There's no rush on that one.
Hmm. Because I would say this one of the things that I've been doing lately is reading Atomic Habits.
Hmm.
I know I received it from somebody
Oh,
a couple years ago,
who could that be?
but got a little busy, with the growing firm, so I hadn't dove into it like I really wanted to. However, one of the things that I've been really looking into, taking away from that now, is that how it's so important to stack small habits onto each other. So literally building habit stacking, and so that is one of the things that I am definitely trying to work on myself, help my team with, to eventually help our clients with, is to make sure that we're building, just as we were talking about business efficiencies, that you're building these same efficiencies in life. And hey, sometimes there's that thing that you don't want to do, that you need to do it. And so making sure that we're taking the time and building the good habits to where, these things all come together for, the good for, us, the good for, our team, and the good for our clients. So, I would definitely say that, taking those small habits, stacking them together, and, doing the hard stuff sometimes, I would say is just overall what I've learned on that. And then, even to take away one of the things that, we learned this week that kind of plays into this one is also, hey, do what, we don't always, it's not every aspect of everything that you always love. But
Mm,
one of the things that I definitely took away also this week is, do what is going to give you the most value overall, and what is going to matter a year from now.
mm,
Like, so thinking that big picture.
mhm.
And then kind of, I think one of the things I'm taking back home with me is taking that habit stacking and that new thought process. Being like, okay, let me stack these habits now of, hey, let's make sure that we are being, efficient in what we do. Make sure we're setting up our processes right, having, sometimes hard conversations with team members.
Yep.
As you were talking about, sometimes roles get blended, and
Mhm.
we have to, separate those for the, good of everybody. And, doing that hard work and making sure that, hey, the stuff that I'm building now is going to bring me the most value even a year from now, so definitely kind of, a little combination of a couple different things, but definitely one of the, as you say, one of the gifts of perspective that, I've had.
Yeah, I mean that book is one of the most recommended by any meaningful business leader in the
Absolutely.
world. We not to spoil it, but if you ever decide to work with us, there that you may get a gift that includes that and then some other things. And the reason we like to give that out is to Alan's points. The tagline for the book is "Small changes, remarkable results, or huge
Hmm.
results, or something
Hmm.
like that." And I find a lot of people are constantly trying to like swing for the fences, or
Hmm.
they're not taking the easy singles that are in front of them, or just the tiny tweaks, the way they hold the bat, the way they stand. Obviously, these are baseball analogies. I'm not even a baseball guy, but you get the point that we don't need to radically alter a lot of things to get radically awesome results.
Hmm.
What we oftentimes need is perspective to make a small change and then to actually keep that change in place and
Hmm.
to not give up on it quickly and just let it work over
Hmm.
time. And again, I think that you're a great testament to what happens when someone embraces the methodologies, principles, and systems over the long term. We say, hey, we want to get you to $100,000 in new business in less than 12 months. And you're basically saying, I'm doing $100,000 a month now
Hmm.
when I was
Hmm.
doing 100K a year.
Hmm.
And that's not by accident, but that's stacking over 3 years a lot of really important breakthroughs and process improvements that again I just hats off to you. So last bits here. um, if you have a question or two
Yeah.
for me, I'm happy to answer it, so
Sure. Yeah.
let it
I,
fly.
I have one. So what would Tyler S. Clark now? What are some of the takeaways that you've gained, the perspective you gain now that you wish you would have known when you first started Dream Firms?
Hmm, I love this question. This might sound strange, but I would say go slower.
Mm.
And what I mean by go
Mm.
slower is we have a lot of great things in
Mhm.
dream firms.
Mhm.
And a lot of them we had in, I won't say day one
Mhm.
because that would be ridiculous. But in year one,
Mhm.
we had a lot of the breakthroughs that we now have looked at and said, these are the things that truly, when done correctly,
Mhm.
unlock hypergrowth.
Mm.
And we got away from them for a little while.
Mm.
And I think that that's something that's true for a lot of entrepreneurs is like you'll find success and then you'll find a shiny object and then you'll
Mm.
go and be like that's actually the new thing. Or
Mhm.
what ends up happening is you might just have a dip in data. You might just have a bad batch of clients where you had a great group for a little while, or
Mhm.
maybe all of a sudden you just lost a little bit of sight on the 8 ball and started chasing something else. So honestly, I think most people would benefit from making fewer moves and making better decisions by moving slower. I think that's hard for a lot of people to actually do when you're, especially when you're like trying to claw some money in, like
Absolutely.
you're
Yeah,
fighting for
it
your
is.
life there. And
Yeah.
so you're really trying to move quickly. But when you do find something that works, slow down and make that work better. And to your point, I wish someone would have asked me when I started, is what you're working on, will it matter a year from today? And taking the time to actually say, when I spin up this division of my business, and this is, I walk so many accountants through this decision-making process. They'll go, I'm great at X. I'm great at bookkeeping. Should I go and become great at taxes and tax planning or advisory services or IRS tax resolution? And my advice is always the same. It's like, just do the math, like slow down. Maybe the answer is yes. Oftentimes the answer is yes. And you'll have a much more valuable service offering, right? To your credit, you went from taxes to being able to really integrate advisory and bookkeeping. And that's been a large contributor to, again, growing the business by making each client worth more. But I really just wish someone would have told me to slow down, do the math, and will this have value a year from now? And I think we would be arguably 3 to 5 to 10 times larger than we are today. So that's a great question.
Awesome answer. Yeah, no, I can actually, relate to that as well, where, yeah, sometimes you see the, the shiny thing, like, oh, maybe if I implement this, if I implement that, do this, do that, where, yeah, oftentimes it's like, hey, as they say, sometimes slow and steady does win the race, so don't be so quick to change everything. So I know I've had that experience as well. So no, it's a great piece of advice.
I got one last question for you, man. All right. So we're both NBA fans. I need a finals prediction just for context. All right. We're middle of round 2, NBA finals in 2024 here.
Yep.
Who do you like?
Well, this is tough to say. I wish I could answer this in a couple of days because we are currently where Minnesota just beat Denver at home twice in a row. Denver Celtics was going to be my finals pick, and I was going to say Denver was going to win. However, being ahead of game 3, so can't quite predict the future. We'll see how silly this prediction makes as time passes. You know what? I am actually going to say Minnesota is going to win the West. They're going to meet the Celtics, and crazy enough, I'm going to say Minnesota's going to win the finals.
I mean, 6-0 to start with the Wolves crushing the Suns and KD. Got 2 big wins in Denver on the defending champs, and impressive wins at that. Not even like they really weren't close.
Not at all.
Again, I know that this is like riding the high of those 2 games, and we've got the benefit of looking at that body of work. But yeah, I can't help but concur. The Celtics are going to walk there. The East is just too weak, even with the Knicks' favorable whistle.
Against what team was that?
My poor Sixers were on the other end of that beneficial whistle they get, as the Pacers fans now know, and now that everyone's done hating on the Sixers, they can all see it. But yeah, no, Celtics are going to walk there, and I don't think it's. I mean, I think there's a chance it'll be close, but if the Wolves D continues to play the way it is, I don't think there's a team that's going to come close to them. Agreed. Anyhow, little fun NBA talk there at the end.
Nope, good, love it.
Anything else you want to say as a quick parting shot before we close out here?
Yeah, sure. No, this has been, just being here this week, being, part of Dream Firms. I've truly enjoyed it. I think it's helped me, as you say, gone from, $100K in a year to $100K in a month, which is honestly still wild to me. But I know that there's still more, to be had. And I think this week has been an absolutely great start to that. And, I'm already excited about some of the stuff I'm going to, put into play. As soon as I get home to, for our firm, I think it'll just, once again, having that vision for clients, wanting to serve them at the highest level, always wanting to add value to them. I think I've gotten a lot of good takeaways from that. And then just, helping to build my team and, helping to build the business. And so thankful to be here. Shout out to you and Marine. You guys have been great, and so no, thank you. I've loved it.
Absolute pleasure. And again, honored to have you here as a client. And on behalf of your clients, your team, your family, your friends, if they don't say it enough, like thank you for the effort that you put into building your dream firm. I know it's not an easy endeavor, not for the faint of heart, but you do an absolute fantastic job. So you want to help me close it out together here? I think you
do
know
it.
how this works. And
do it.
3, 2, 1. Remember that only you can create your dream firm, but we are here to help you every single step of the way. Thank you so much, Mr. Pruitt.
Thank you.
And please check him out on social media. He's got a lot of cool things. You can literally just look at what Alan does. And if you just say, I want to be more like Alan, you're going to be one step closer to your dream firm.